Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Dana again, and today you're at Research Road, and it's the 24th of September, 2024. On this date in 1789, the U.S. Federal Judiciary Act passed. It created a six-person Supreme Court. That's just a reminder that the makeup of the court is determined by Congress. Oh, and by popular request, this week I'll start answering your science questions at the end of these episodes. I'll also answer sci-fi questions as well. Seriously, please send some in. Some of the episodes are the audio version of doom-scrolling social media, and some light-hearted questions to end on would be nice. So, starting off with tech news, there's reportedly a deal in the works to reopen a nuclear power plant and restart operations at what will be called the Crane Clean Energy Center. The energy provided by the nuclear power plant would be reportedly used to power AI data centers. You might know the facility by another name, 3 Mile Island. I'm sure this won't be a controversial move at all. A new app called Social AI is a social network that, well, isn't a social network. Users get access to a private network where the other users are AI-powered bots. The human user gets to select the personality of the bots. And now on to space. A NASA spacecraft named the Europa Clipper is scheduled to travel 1.8 billion miles to a moon of Jupiter. The Europa Clipper is the largest spacecraft NASA has built for a planetary mission. The trip will take about 5.5 years. The launch window opens October 10th. A study suggests that about 500 million years ago, the Earth had rings like Saturn. The idea is that debris from an asteroid developed into rings that lasted tens of millions of years. Earth's ozone layer is still on its way to healing itself, according to the UN. The organization says that it will return to the levels of the 1980s by about 2066. The united front that emerged when the issue was discovered is seen as the reason for the success. Some have started looking at how that consensus was formed as a guide to dealing with climate change. Now it's time to talk about the developing climate crisis. This week in New York City, the talk of the town will be green. In two ways. Climate Week NYC is going on. Obviously, the topic will be about green solutions. But more specifically, the conversation will focus on the green needed to transition. The money. There will be a huge focus on how to generate the trillions of dollars of financing necessary to assist the transitions needed in countries with smaller economies. New York City is expecting to see a number of demonstrations demanding immediate action to address the climate crisis. According to a recent study, the Earth's temperatures are rising faster than at any other time in the last 485 million years. We've had a couple of questions about American presidential candidates and their views on the climate. The short version is that Harris takes climate change seriously, but doesn't express a lot of details on a plan. Many concerned with the climate believe this to be a good thing. They feel her lack of detail is a sign that she will go as far as she politically can during her administration. That's possible, but we can't say that without any commitments. On the other side of the aisle, Trump's environmental plan seems to be to undermine the limited progress that has already been made. In related political/climate news, reports suggest the climate actions taken by Biden will save roughly 200,000 lives. That should be the number people focus on, but the numbers that get the most coverage will likely be those related to the economy. Biden's policies saw about 150,000 jobs added in the clean energy sector. That would mean that jobs in that sector of the economy grew almost twice as fast as overall job growth. In the world of animals, according to a report released on World Rhino Day, the overall world population of rhinos has increased over the last year. However, poaching has increased alongside the gain. Emerging evidence suggests that shifts in climate are altering the migratory patterns of birds. Warming seems to be causing birds to arrive days or weeks before they used to. That means the areas they arrive at may not have the food the birds need when they show up. In this case, the early bird may not get the worm. In health news, the FDA has approved the first flu vaccine that can be administered at home. The vaccine is a nasal spray and has been around since 2003. Whooping cough cases in the U.S. have more than quadrupled. Experts say it's due to a lack of vaccinations. Now let's dig up the past a little. Students volunteering at an archaeological dig at a Gaulish village in northern France found a message in a bottle left by an archaeologist from a different era. The unique find contained a note that read,
P.J. Ferret, a native of Dieppe, member of various intellectual societies, carried out excavations here in January 1825. He continues his investigations in this vast area known as the Cité de Limes, or Caesar's Camp.
And now on to oddities. Workers in Poland discovered 2 skeletons buried in a shallow pit. The burials look to be from the early Middle Ages and appear to have been conducted in accordance with procedures used to keep demonic creatures from leaving their graves. This includes removing the head and placing it facing down on a stone. This type of burial is often referred to as a vampire burial. A painting on the side of a cliff in South Africa shows a battle, but the painting has always had an issue. It depicts a creature that doesn't exist. The painting had puzzled people for years, but now a paleontologist has proposed a unique explanation. The belief is that the painter had seen fossils of a long-extinct creature and added it to the painting. And now, we're going to answer some of your questions.
Is underpopulation really as big a problem as overpopulation?
Underpopulation gets framed as devastating by those who benefit the most by the status quo. The status quo needs infinite growth. Underpopulation is damaging to the current system, and those at the top of that system have the ability to make it seem as though it's a threat to humanity's survival when it really just requires a system change.
This question is for Dana. References to Bigfoot as being mythical are made on the channel a lot. As the person who I think is the resident science nerd on the channels, do you believe there are still undiscovered species out there? Not necessarily Bigfoot, but other animals.
There are definitely undiscovered species. I think the estimate is that around 18,000 are discovered each year. But having said that, only a tiny fraction of those are mammals. It seems unlikely that there are many large mammals hiding out there for us to find.
I don't know why you use that stupid computer voice. It's annoying. Anybody who can't just speak into a mic is obviously too low IQ to be taking news from.
I understand that there are some people who are put off by the voice, and that's okay. Not every presentation will resonate with every person. Now about that IQ comment, I'm going to tell a quick story. A man was once asked what he thought about people saying he was the most intelligent person in the world. He said, "I would never claim this. People who boast about their IQ are losers." And the person who said this was a guy named Stephen Hawking. This week's quote is also attributed to Stephen Hawking. For millions of years, mankind lived just like the animals. Then something happened which unleashed the power of our imagination. We learned to talk and we learned to listen. Speech has allowed the communication of ideas, enabling human beings to work together to build the impossible. Mankind's greatest achievements have come about by talking, and its greatest failures by not talking. It doesn't have to be like this. Our greatest hopes could become reality in the future. With the technology at our disposal, the possibilities are unbounded. All we need to do is make sure we keep talking. So that's all the data we have to date. Hope you enjoyed it and hope to see you again soon.